I have $1,100 going out. I think it's like 13 or 14 items. Some big sales this weekend. It's going to be super fun to talk about. Let's get into it. All right, Friday morning, handful of sales to go get and ship. And I got some help from that girl and this girl. Say hi. Hi. Paid $5, maybe in this video, for this Winnie the Pooh. You know what? I don't think I made a video this time. I went to Goodwill. I paid $5 for this. I don't even know what videos I'm making anymore. Maybe there is a video. Anyway, I paid $5 for this the other day. I listed it and it sold within 10 minutes of being listed. But I listed it right with the comps. $25 was kind of right where all the comps were. And I did free shipping. I don't know if there was one quite that low, but this is a men's size small, which is less desirable, generally speaking, than most sizes of clothes. So anyway, I'm happy with that. It sold in 10 minutes, so I probably underpriced it, but I'm more about making dollars than making sense, you know what I'm saying? Buyer accepted my offer of $26 and change on this thing just in the last 10 minutes. It's kind of neat. Super vintage cool, but like not a desirable brand. This Wilson windbreaker, cool old jacket, not old enough to be made in the US, but really nice colorway. The other one was listed for 10 minutes. I bet this one's been listed close to a year. I bought a bunch of these really small sized black, like Y2K vintage band shirts on Whatnot like 2 years ago for almost nothing. It sold for almost nothing. $10 free shipping. What are you doing? Oh, biscuits. So I picked up a bunch of sweaters at the Restore the other day. This was one of them. Made in the US. It's got that funky collar on it. Real like cottage core. I think I paid $2 a piece for them. And they've been selling significant, pretty better than I expected. I think I've sold like 4 in a week. And that one sold for $21 free shipping. So we have this huge backyard that is all fenced in. And I let Mavis out front with me, which is not fenced in. And of course, she runs across the street and is barking at the neighbor's dogs. So then I got to straighten her out. E.T. plush. I remember bringing this home to not this house. And we've lived here for 2.5 years. So this has been listed a long time. And it sold for $11 plus $8 shipping. And this is another piece that sold. Lots of sweaters today. Lots of starting to get cool and people are trying to stay warm. This Elfric Eden is not a label that I ever heard of, but this was new with tag. I think it was $5 or $6 at Goodwill. And this type of knitting that I'm sure you've seen on a sweater before, keyword is fisherman. And fisherman sweaters sell pretty well. So I listed this for $26 plus shipping, and it sold. It took a long time. I'll put up, I wouldn't guess how long this one's been. I just don't do time frames like that well, but this has been listed a while, and as soon as it got cold, it finally did sell. So lots of cold weather stuff today. Hey, look, something else just sold. Lots of cold weather stuff, but I like that because I just stick it in a poly mailer and go about my day. If you follow the channel, you might remember me grabbing, oh, are you going shopping back here? If you follow the channel, you might remember me picking up a drum set that I ended up parting a bunch of things out. It was $20. It was just like one floor tom that had turned into a bass, but we sold the bass pedal. There's the piece. And then this is like a piece that they use to hold the cowbell on. And while I decided not to sell the cowbell...
To be honest, fellas, it was sounding great, but I could have used a little more cowbell.
This I didn't necessarily need, and so it sold for $20, I don't remember, almost $30, I think. Yeah, 28 bucks. So that's a pretty good sale for something that was extra on top of something I already made a bunch of money on. So I bought a rainbow vacuum, and it sold for... I paid $30 for it, and I've sold it piece by piece by piece by piece. And then I've only got, well, I think 1, maybe 2 pieces left now that this piece sold for $18 free shipping. It's just the pipe that you would stick attachments onto, and I think it's actually an extension to that pipe. So the hose sold well, the motor sold, the a brush and some others. There was a bunch of stuff, and I made a bunch of money. But Rainbow vacuums are unusual looking and pretty high dollar. And look at this. This is Rainbow also. I think Rainbow is like Kirby, only people are less familiar with it. Kirby will send a salesman to your house to show you how good their vacuum works, and then try to get you to buy one because they're crazy expensive to buy new. But Rainbow will give you a air filter or air filtration system for letting you in their home, letting them in your home, and those do well too. So keep an eye out for those. That is actual everything. All right, guys, welcome back to Mod and Pop Thrift. My name's Tom. I'm a full-time eBay reseller, and I'm a stay-at-home dad for my 6 kids. And it is dark outside. It's like 8 o'clock on Sunday night. I have $1,100 going out. I think it's like 13 or 14 items. Some big sales this weekend. It's going to be super fun to talk about. Let's get into it. Something that just sold in the last couple of minutes is this flickering skeletons. They're still putting out Halloween stuff at my local Goodwill, and this sold for $20 on an offer. I had them for like $22.50 or something. Somebody sent me a $20 offer, free shipping. I paid 99 cents. As long as this is, there might not be a huge ton of profit left in that for $20 free shipping. I'll put it up, but those were only listed a couple of days, and it's Halloween, and it's like we're going into the week of Thanksgiving, so it feels like people would probably be over by Halloween, but Halloween and Christmas sell all year. Other holidays, Thanksgiving, Easter, they tend to sell closer to their dates for the most part. Valentine's Day, the kind of things people decorate for, but the Halloween and Christmas are gonna sell all year. Sometimes you can get a quicker sale or higher profits if you're selling closer to the season, but I list Halloween and Christmas all year. And I know I picked this thing up on video, and I showed you guys like an $85 comp for it, and I think I only paid $2.99. But as it turns out, it was from Aldi, and there were no other comps other than that 85 on this exact pattern with these square roads and the racetrack out here. It's from Disney Pixar Radiator Springs Cars. They were making the audacious claim that theirs was brand new without tags. And I don't make that claim about almost anything, especially if I buy it secondhand. I'm not going to say, oh, this looks like it's never been used, so I'm going to call it new. And plus, I wanted to ship it folded, so I didn't want to claim that it was brand new. But I did take a picture of it folded so people know it's going to be folded when they get it, rather than rolled. And it would cost a lot more to ship because it's like 33 inches. So rolled, it would be less damaged, less folds in it. But the it was already folded and it's used. And it sold for $32 in a couple of days. Spoon River Drive, Levi paid $5 for this I'm sure it's a Casio tone. I don't see where. Casio tone MT550. Casio tones tend to do well. This one didn't have great comps, and he felt a little silly buying it for $5 because he walked away from me. He's like, I'm going to go check this other one. You check that one, and we'll get back together. And he bought this for $5 with money that I gave him to spend, not like his own money. And and then he's like, these Casio tones do well. You sell them all the time. And I comped this one, and it looked like there was like 9 listed and 1 sold, and they were all listed in the $50 and $60 range. And the one that had sold was like $40 free shipping. And so it didn't feel really good, but I did some Terapeak research, and they sell closer to Christmas. So as we got into November, then that thing sold for $63, which, I mean, again, it's not tremendous profit when you figure it's probably going to cost $20-ish to ship. Here's how much profit we made on it. We got it the first week in November, or the first week of October, but I don't know because it takes D batteries, so I think I kept forgetting to buy the batteries to try it out. So anyway, it hasn't been listed super long. And it did sell for $63. So I bet we're $40 into profit when you figure the cost of goods was $5 and the fees and the shipping. This is where it might be a little bit easy to get caught if you're a new reseller and end up thinking you're making more money than you are. This Travis Matthews long sleeve shirt, nice Travis Matthews golf quarter zip. I bought it for $4.99 and it sold for $21.60. But I will end up, if you count my $5 profit out of the if you count out my cost of goods, and I think I'm 17 after fees, and it's probably going to cost me $6 to ship. So I'm making like $6-7 on this thing with the so $4 into $21.50, $5 into $21.50 only puts like maybe $7 in your pocket. Maybe $6 in your pocket. And so it would be easy. It's easy for people to go on here and say, oh, I paid $5 for this and it sold for $20. And you aren't losing money, but you're not really making a lot of money. I don't normally buy Travis Matthews anymore. It was a hot brand 2 or 3 years ago, but it's really fallen off. And I mean, you can still make money on it, but paying $5 and then taking an offer for $21, I only had it listed for, I think I had it listed for $25. So I was only expecting to make like $11 on my $5 investment instead of $6 on my $5 investment. But it's too easy, I think, for a lot of people watching these YouTube channels and trying to figure out what to do, to think $5 into 20, that's great. But when you figure I do free shipping on most things, and people will say, well, that's why you're losing money, is because you're doing free shipping. Well, I would sell that for $11 plus shipping, and the buyer's going to end up at $20 either way. I just don't like how much eBay marks up the shipping, and I'm not willing to give the shipping discount to your buyer because I don't pre-package or weigh, I'm guessing, on everything before I ship it out. And so if I pass the discount on to, it seems to me like it'd be way easier to lose money, legitimately lose money on shipping, than cooking $6-8 into the price of a shirt, thinking that, it's probably not going to cost that much to ship, and then over the price of what you would do plus shipping. Yeah. So I'm still a big advocate for free shipping. I think that it works really well if you know how to work it. If you've been shipping long enough to anticipate what a shirt's going to cost to ship, anticipating the price of shipping is the thing. If you can't anticipate the price of shipping, then free shipping can be problematic. But I know I've never paid more than $10 to ship a shirt. So if I'm going to list it for $12.99 plus shipping, then maybe I'll mark it $19.99 free shipping. And it's basically all comes out in the wash. But I feel like buyers are more attracted to free shipping stuff. Plus, if the price of UPS Ground Advantage goes up 20% because we're getting closer to Christmas, that doesn't change my price, but it does change some people's price because they are now, 10% higher than they were, and they didn't change anything. The post office changed pricing. I often take batteries out of the things that I sell before I sell them, just because I don't want them to bust and corrode in the stuff while it's in storage or while it's in shipping. This is a Medieval Times, a battle axe that I paid $2.99 for, I'm pretty sure. And I'll put up the date when I bought it. I want to say it's been probably 3 months, and it sold for $25. It's going to be a little bit of a pickle to ship because it's kind of fragile, and it just would be easy for this to get bent or stepped on or something. So you have to put it in a pretty substantial box, and it's too wide up here to do a tube. And so it's going to be a little bit of a pickle to ship. It'll probably cost $12 to ship. So I won't make a ton of money on it, even though it sold for $25. Here's how much profit I made. But it's a neat thing. And my brother and our friend Alex both have sold this recently. So when I found it, I was like, that should do well for me. And I didn't do super well, but it did sell eventually, and I'll make a little bit of money. Paid $10 for this camera, and it sold, I think it was Wednesday probably that I picked it up for 10 bucks and it sold for 50 already. This is an Olympus stylus, and then I think it's a 1010 is the model number. Yeah, and I mean, it's nothing super special about it. It's just an old early digital camera and came with a handful of accessories. Yeah, nothing that would make me think that it was super special. Nothing that made the thrift store I bought it from think it was super special. They only charged $10 for it, and it's a $50 camera. So that quick flips like that are pretty good, because $10 is a little bit paying up for stuff, really, unless it's going to sell for $100. $10 is the most I would have paid for that. It's pretty good. Digital cameras, I comp most of them. Sometimes like an HP or a Kodak digital camera, early ones probably aren't going to do very well, but most any digital camera I find anymore, I comp just to make sure that it's not something, because it's a category where I know there's a lot of value to, but I don't know how to determine. Like I can look at a t-shirt and tell you whether it has value. I can look at most appliances and give you an idea of why it has value, but cameras aren't something I know that well. But something I do know pretty well is PBS DVDs. I think the last video we had a PBS DVD that did pretty well. And this one, we got a pretty highfalutin PBS DVD. Wildcrats, gonna do well every time. I had this listed for 40, and I was amongst the lowest in the comps. But I recomped it, and I looked at what had actually sold, and they were selling closer to 30. And this is a good example of what I was just talking about. So they were selling 30 plus shipping, and I was at $39.99 free shipping. I went ahead and looked at the comps of what was selling, and I looked at what had been listed since mine was, because I expected this to pop off in 2 or 3 days, and then I saw it was still listed, and I'm like, and I don't often go back and backtrack myself, but it felt weird. This had quite a few watchers, quite a few views. I thought it would sell in less than a week, and it hadn't. And so I went, and 2 people had been priced under me, and several had sold since mine was listed. And that's really easy to check. And so I'm like, then I'm priced too high. So I knocked it down $5 and went $30 plus shipping, which in my world is $35 on media, $35 free shipping. And it sold in a couple of days of marking it down. So that's more aggressive than I would commonly be with comps, but I expect PBS DVDs to sell really fast, especially a cool kid series like this. And I paid $2.99, maybe $3.99 for it at Goodwill a couple of weeks ago. And I thought it would sell faster than it did, but it's because I priced it a little too high. But I took $5 off and it sold in like a day. I love vintage silverware because it's so easy. Most of the time people are donating, they're not donating out of the sink, they're donating out of their silverware drawer. So it's most all the time clean, and it is really unique, and sometimes you can make a really whole lot of money, and unless it's actual silver, most places aren't charging anything for silverware. So this, you can see I got for $2.99 as a grab bag at Goodwill, but I will confess, I think it was 3 grab bags, because there's another $2.99. I think I'm $9 into this set, and it is marked Fiesta. It's pretty easy. Most of it that is worth selling is going to tell you what it is right on it. And so $9 into $50 is the same as that camera, pretty good. But this stuff is easier to mess with because it's not doesn't have to be tested or cleaned the way that the camera did. But that it took a little bit longer to sell. The silverware, like I've found $1.99 bags of silverware and sold each piece. I'll put that up. Like I sold each piece for like $18 plus shipping or something, and somebody ended up buying a bunch. I don't exactly remember what this deal was with that, but it's this dance stuff that was just incredible, and I paid like $1.99 for the bag. And sometimes flatware can be like that. The right design of flatware can do really, really, really well, and it doesn't have to be made of silver. But this was Fiesta, and it was that coral pink is popular in some circles, and so that I knew that would do well. There was a bag of spoons that I ended up leaving because all the handles were cracked on all the spoons. Had I had the spoons, I probably would have done a lot better to have, because there's salad fork and a regular fork and a knife and a couple of spoons, but then like soup spoons or teaspoons, but not tablespoons or something like that. But anyway, the condition wasn't good on the spoons, or I probably would have done better because it would have been more of a place setting. But $50, free shipping, and I was $9 into it. So I'll make some pretty good money, and it'll be pretty easy to pack. Does your guys' Goodwill tape stuff up? Because my Goodwill tapes every box closed, and I'm not buying it unless I can see what's in the box, because this could be bricks. So I took the tape off of the box. I expected it to be used, and this kind of thing used would be nasty to clean up. It was new open box, and so I sold it as such, and I paid $4 for it, and it sold for $35, and only in like 2 or 3 days. So that's a quick flip, and it's going to be some pretty good profit. I just got to put this in I'll probably put like one roll of bubble wrap around it to say that I tried, and put it in a box that it fits kind of snug in, and it'll be really, really easy to deal with. And KitchenAid almost always does well. Sometimes I comp it and it's not worth messing with, but most of the time, something that's KitchenAid that's not marked up very much is worth reselling. I think I paid $3.99 for these, and they only ended up selling for $20, free shipping. When you have these, you want to make sure that the axles aren't bent, because the axles can get bent really easy, and that really makes them not as valuable to somebody. What'll end up happening is somebody will buy them, and then they'll be mad that their axle was bent when they get it. And you could see that those axles are straight. And if they weren't, the tires would not be in a straight line. But I thought those would sell for $30, and they ended up just sitting around for a long time and then not selling for $30. And I took a $20 offer, and the buyer did pay right away. So that's cool. Not a huge bit of profit in these, but if you got a larger lot or more interesting cars, but these Monster Jam Hot Wheels 64 scale do pretty well depending on the circumstance. I would have expected to do better on these, but I made some money. Went into Helping Hands just a couple of November 7th, because I just looked it up. So like 2 weeks ago. And I found this, and it was unique enough, like holding it, feeling it, it's definitely vintage. It says Volrath on it, which I'd never really heard of, but it gave me something to comp, and there were 2 listed and 1 sold in the $20 to $25 range. So I figured at $2 I could probably sell it within the next 90 days. This is the time of year to be selling cooking things. Kitchen stuff does really well right now. People like to get that kind of vintage kitchen stuff for Christmas. People like to have it to cook for Thanksgiving. People like to have it to cook for Christmas. People like to have it for their New Year's party. You're going to do well on kitchenware in Q4. I mean, it's Q4, but kitchenware does way, way better now, this time of year, than it does any other time of year. So I figured I would probably sell quick, and it did for $21, but you guys didn't come, based on that thumbnail, to see $20 stainless steel pitchers. And I told you I sold $1,100. Well, this doesn't even get close to that, but that stuff does. Hey, and at this point of the video, if you're still here, hit the thumbs up, comment down below. If you're enjoying the shorts, let me know what your favorite short form, what's the best thing that sold for me on eBay yesterday. Tell me what's your favorite one of those. And if you're not subscribed, check and see if you're subscribed. Let's get into some chairs that I made $700 in 12 hours on. So there was a listing on Facebook for 6 chairs just like this. So the metal legs and the scoop chair, 3 of them were green and 3 of them were yellow. And so this is the stack right here. And then this is the legs as they detach. And this is the hole that I didn't know was there until I already was on my way to get them. It was disclosed. I just ignored it. And you'll see these chairs from time to time. I found 2 at Goodwill the other day for $4. And I have sold hundreds of these chairs. And I pick them up cheap almost every time. I know I bought them by the 10 for $20. And I ended up with 60 chairs once. So $2 a piece. I paid $120 for 60 chairs, but for whatever reason, the auction guy was like, buy the stack. Who'll give me $20 to start? Expecting him to go down. I gave $20 to start, and nobody bid me up, so I just took them all. And then I was at a auction at high school once over the summer. They were auctioning off a bunch, and me and a guy ended up at $21 a chair or something, but that was kind of the height of the market, and I ended up doing really, really well on those two. Sometimes they sell for $100 a piece. Most of the time they can do that well or better, but it has to be this shape. It can't be this shape. It can't be that shape, but it has a hole in the middle of it. It has to be this exact shape. And so you need to be familiar with them. And it has to be fiberglass. It can't be plastic, because there are even Herman Miller ones out there that are plastic. And while they do have some value, they aren't these. They aren't the vintage. They're modern plastic reproductions instead of vintage fiberglass quality material. And so sometimes they will have this paper marking on them almost universally. There is some exception, but this emblem right here means Herman Miller, and they will almost without exception have that marking on them. And this is the marking. It's sometimes, but rarely, they will have this marking on them. And if you see this marking on anything, this says Herman Miller, Zeeland, Michigan, designed by, and then it says Charles Eames. If you see this emblem and it says like George Nelson there, that could be really, really good too. But this color with that, has got a lot of fiberglass texture in it. And this color that is called seafoam green is a really sought after color. And a big part of the reason that I went after these chairs, I drove an hour one way to get them because I knew what they were. And the seafoam green means that these 3 chairs, just the shells, are worth more than I paid for all of it, even with a little hole drilled in the top. So I listed the chairs for like $600, and in the morning I had a $400 offer and a $480 offer. And I thought about hanging out and seeing if I got any more offers, but I literally sold like $40 the day before and hadn't really listed anything except for these chairs. So I was like, I could use the money. Let me see if this guy offering me $480 will pay right away. And he did. And I listed the bases at the same time. And I told the boys, like, these bases are often just not even worth messing with at all. So I listed the 5 bases for $40 free shipping each on a quantity of 5. And somebody came in and said, I listed them for $45. And somebody came in and said, would you take $40 a piece if I bought all 5 of them? And I said, sure. I almost didn't even list them. Now, I bought 6 chairs and I only sold 5 bases because this one is missing a foot. And that makes a big difference on whether these bases are worth selling. And this, as you can see, why it's called an H base. And there are some bases that are worth selling. The stack bases are not worth selling. But I still have the 3 yellow ones listed for $300. And I sold those bases for $200. And I sold the chairs for $480. And so I ended up, and I sold a bunch of the other stuff we just talked about that same day. I ended up well over $700 in sales that one day, which is a really good day for me. But when you have a great day like that, it means you got a lot of things to pack in the morning. It's 9 o'clock now. So I've been out here yammering at you guys for almost an hour and pulling my orders and getting things ready to ship these in the morning. But I got a lot of work to do. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.